To make my elevator for the layout, I'm using PVC pipe. The outside diameter measures 4 1/8 inches, which would be 22 foot. I cut the PVC pipe to 17 3/4 inches. It was actually longer, but I sanded it to make the edges smooth and level across both ends. This measures out to approximately 95 foot tall, which would not be uncommon for an elevator on the high plains, especially one that's older, which this represents. To attach the PVC pipe so it stays together, I'm using a small drill bit. I'm drilling through the pipes on the inside for a screw. I'm using a small screw to attach them on the inside. Now I'm ready to make the cap for the top of the elevator. So what I've done here is I've got a piece of 1/8 inch masonite. Basically going to draw around that. And if you're wondering why it's an odd shape, it's because I had a piece of scrap laying around. And it is working perfectly. Now I have the basic outline of my elevator roof cap. After looking at some pictures on the internet, what I had noticed was many of the elevators have a little overhang over the edge of the grain elevator. So the actual roof does not come flush with the edge of the elevator. Now it could, but the ones I noticed had a little overlap. So there's an overhang on the edge of the elevator. So what I found is a part spin that's slightly larger than the elevator tubes. I'm going to lay that down there so I get a little bit of overhang, just like the real ones. I'm basically tracing around the circle that I already made and used the first circles as kind of a guide for these second ones. Then what I'll do is I'll cut around this second line. The lid here does flex a little bit, so you don't want to push too hard on that. Now we're ready to cut this out around the second line. This is the look I'm going for. There's just a little bit of overlap beyond the tubes. Now you'll notice that my cut edges are pretty rough and not great. I'm gonna have to come back and clean up all these edges, make them nice and pretty. This will be the cap. This will be affixed to the top of this once it's cleaned up and good to go. Then I'll put some sort of a doghouse on top that is typical on many of these. I haven't decided exactly how that's going to look. And then I'll make another building that goes next to it where the trucks will pull through and unload and then be on their way. Now that the edges are cleaned up, I've inversed this piece so it's on the bottom with the elevator on top of it, but now you can see how the overlap is going to look all the way around. Of course, once it's flipped over and it looks proper, why I'll come back in. We can always put more silicone in here and here to clean up all this, but that's down the road a bit yet. So this is how it's going to look once the edges of this have now been all cleaned up and it's mostly set in place. Again, this is just dry fit and it's not fixed. I haven't found a best way to attach the roof to the elevator. So what I intend to do is take a bead of glue on the inside, flipping it over to get both sides, then turn the elevator upside down on top of this and then let the glue ooze down to the roof. Hopefully that will secure it. Then I'll also put some on the edge. Finally, I'm going to take some weight, and I have a vise that I'm going to set on the top to add pressure to keep everything tight and secure. Next, we'll be ready to prep and paint. To clean the plastic for the silos, I'm using isopropyl alcohol. Just taking an old rag of some sort or another and then wiping it down. There. Now we're ready to prime and paint. I'm going to use just regular spray primer on this, and then I'll come back with latex house paint that I happen to have on hand and paint it white.